guys, this is Rashekar. Welcome to the computer forensics class. Today we are discussing about the initial response and volatile data collection from the Windows system. To collect the data from the victim's place or any attacker's place, we have to follow the few steps in the Windows operating systems. There are the steps to take when performing the initial responses of the Windows operating systems, Windows NT or Windows 2000 or Windows XP systems or any other version of the Windows operating systems. The system is being used by the attacker or was the system of the victim's system. We have to follow few few steps to gather the information, to collect the information from that particular system. How to gather the volatile data in a manner that minimizes the alteration of the systems. So to gather the information from that particular location or that particular device, you have to follow the few steps and have to apply the few particular things to collect the data from that particular device. First one is creating a response toolkit and the storing the information obtained during the initial responses and obtaining a volatile data. These three steps are the majority of the procedure. So the first one is creating a response toolkit. Creating a response toolkit is an initial response. You need to plan your approach to obtain all the information without affecting any potential evidence loss, because you will be issuing a commands with an administrator rights on that particular victim system. So you need to be particularly careful not to destroy or alter the evidence which is available on that particular location or the crime scene. So the best way to meet these goals to prepare a complete responsible response toolkit is do not underestimate the importance of the monotonous and laborious steps of the creating a response toolkit. By spending of the time to collect the trusted files and burn them into the CD-ROM. So whatever the data you collected from that particular location, you have to immediately copy the any media device or burn into the CD-ROM or CD drive. You are much better equipped to respond quickly, professionally and successfully. Why? Because if you are not very active, you are the responsible for the destroying of any evidence which is available on that particular locations places. So a live investigation is not the time to create or test your toolkit for the first time. So the crime scene or the location is not in a practical or a practicing method. You have to be work and potentiality. You have to create everything and you have to gather the information from that particular location. The majority of the main thing what you have to do in that particular location is, first when you are starting that work, first we have to beginning the initial task will be the gathering of all the tools which is related to collect the information from that particular device, and what are the tools are available with you. You have to prepare the toolkit and then check for dependency with the FileMon and create the checksum for the response toolkit and write protect any toolkit floppies. So these are all the five major steps you have to follow when you are creating a response toolkit. The first one is gathering the tools. Gathering the tools in all the incident responses, regardless of the type of the incident, it is critical to use the trusted commands for responding to Windows. We have to maintain a CD-ROM or two floppy disk or any USB drives or flash drives that contains the minimum of the tools listed on this table. So these are all the listed tools which is displaying on the screen. These are all the tools which are majorly using on that particular location to gather the information. So Netcat, CryptCat, PS Logstick, IPconfig, PS Info, PS File, PS Service, Audit Pool, DOSKey, CM command.exe. So these are all the tools which are using to collect the information from one system or for another network or any other media devices which is available on that particular crime scene. So with these tools you have to prepare a toolkit and you have to prepare some commanding lines or scripting languages. You can copy the data from that particular device locations. So majorly we are using for the Netcat and CryptCat. These two tools are plays a very crucial role to gather the information from that particular device. Why? Because the Netcat is a utility used to create a communication channel between the two different systems. Two different systems means it may be the victim's system and our host server system, or two systems which is not connected in that particular location will be connected to the main host server of that particular forensic system. CryptCat is also one of the encrypted tool which is used to a utility used to create an encrypted channel of the communication. So CryptCat tool is used to it creates a communication between the two systems. The two systems may be the one system may be the victim's system or attacker system or attacker's device, and another system may be the server with the which is located in the host system or that particular host of that particular forensic systems. So these two commands may place a very crucial role to gather the information or to collect the data which is available on that particular crime scene. So these are all the tools which is used in that particular locations. After gathering the tools, you have to prepare the toolkit. So for preparing the toolkit, you need to ensure that the toolkit will function exactly as intended and not alter the target system. We have to take several steps to prepare our toolkits for initial responses. The first and the first primary step what you have to do when you are starting the procedure means you have to give the label names, the response toolkit media. Why? Because the evidence collection floppies or CD drives of the label information as follows. The label information will give the clarity which device, which particular equipment you are using for that particular crime scene. If you are dealing with a 2 or a 3, 4 crime scenes, you have to use multiple devices or multiple CDs, multiple floppies. So if you give the label names or the labeling of that particular device, so it is a very clear and clarity shows that this case will have this device and this case will have another device. So the labeling process must be plays a crucial role. The labeling must be like this: case number, time and date, name of the investigator who created the particular response media, name of the investigator using the response media, and whether or not the responsible media using a floppy disk or a CD drives contains output files or evidence from the victim system. So these are the labeling process is the primary step when you are preparing a toolkit. The second one is the check for a dependency within a file one. It is important to determine which DLLs on the files your response tools depends on it. We use a file one to determine all the file accessed and affected by each of the utilities in our toolkit. So it is good to know which tool changes access times on the files and the targeted systems, which we can avoid the load tools that alter our targeted systems. So the dependency will be checking by using the file one and the labeling after the preparing of the toolkit. The next one is a create a checksum for the response toolkit. So we have to create a checksum. One of the file on our responsible kit, floppy or a CD drive or USB drive, is a text file with a checksum of all the commands on it. So with a few commands like that MD5 sum command line used to create the text file name as a text file provider. After creating a toolkit, we have to give one major task when you are closing the preparing the toolkit is write protect any toolkit floppies. That means this is the operation which is this is the permission you have to give for that particular floppy disk or a USB drives or a flash drives. So this is one of the permission to protect your data which is loaded on that particular device. Write protect any toolkit floppies. If you use a floppy disk, be sure that write protect the floppy disk after it created. If you store the evidences files on the floppy responsible floppy during an incident, you need to write protect it after you accumulated the data. That means if you are loading any application, if you are loading any particular software, if you want to install, you have to give the permissions. That permissions must be the allow the permission, write permission, read permission, or any other permissions. For example, if you are loading any Word document also or Excel document, if you protected that particular Word document not to edit by anyone, so you have to give the permissions. That is a protected permission not to edit. That is only for a read-only access. So if anyone loaded that particular data or a file will be loaded only for seeing purpose only, not to edit purpose. So like this we have to give a few permission for that particular floppy disk or CD drives or flash drives. So you have to apply one of the things after creating the floppy drives, write protect any toolkit floppies. So these are the 4 steps we are applying in the preparing the toolkit. The next one is storing information obtained during the initial responses. After preparing everything, it stores the information what you are obtaining during the initial process. During the initial process, you will gather a lot of information from the live systems. We use the term live or refer a system that is relevant to an investigation, whether it is a attacking system or a victim and is currently provided on. So think it is a crime scene. Before photos are taken into the bodies, you have to remove. So when you are moving into the crime scene, you have to be very careful. Why? Because if you are by touching your things or by unexpectedly you click on the remote delete button or remove button, majority of the main things will be deleted. Why? Because you are in the crime scene. So while gathering the information, by storing the information, you have to be very careful when you are loading the information. You have to follow the four primary options. We have to follow the four primary things when you are doing the things for your doing the live system operations. What are those means? The first one is save the data you retrieve on the hard drive or the targeted system. Second one is record the data you retrieve by hand in a notebook. Third one is save the data you retrieve on the response floppy disk or other removable media. Fourth one is the save the data you retrieve on a remote forensic system. Use Netcat or CryptCat. These two tools are we already discussed in the previously, Netcat and CryptCat. These two tools are plays in a major role when you are gathering the data, when you are storing the information from the victim's data. Saving data to the hard drive is an undesirable because it modifies the system. Recording data by hand, it is not a practical due to the volume of the information. So when you are storing the information, you have to maintain these four are the primary things what you have to do. When after maintaining the some things, you have to follow the two one is that is transferring the data and encrypt the data by using the CryptCat or Netcat. So transfer the data by using the tool Netcat, encrypt the data by using the CryptCat. So transferring the data with Netcat means Netcat is a freely available tool that creates a channel of the communication between the host. We use it during the initial responses to create a reliable. The TCP connection will create the communication between the targeted system and the forensics workstation used for analysis. All that of you need to use a netcats and IP addresses on the target network and laptop systems with enough storage spaces. So you have to enough storage spaces will be the information you gather. Use the Netcat allows you transfer all the relevant system information and files you require to confirm whether or not an incident occurred. So this is the one of the best technique of the information gathering promotes to sound practices. It lets you get an on and off of the target system quickly, and when you are working within a targeted system, the targeted system is not you don't have any perfect access to load the data or delete the data. Why? Because the targeted system is not under your control, and you have to get that from get the system into under your control means you have to check all the devices with an IP addresses and the communication with whether already it's installed or not. So you have to check carefully, and it lets you either on and off very quickly, and you have to move to the very fastly to communications of the particular devices. It allows you to perform an offline review of the information attained. When you are working with any other victim system, it may be if the system is connected to the online, it may be the online system is connected to the some other hacker, some other victim system. So he may be rehack, or he had to retrieve the information from that particular system when you are not in that cases. So we have to be very alert, and we have to work in an offline mode only to not work on the particular platforms. So the next one is the encrypted data within a CryptCat. The encrypted data within consider encrypted the traffic using the CryptCat. An alternative is to use the crossover cable to directly connect it to the victim system on the forensic workstation. So directly connected cable will give a more security, and it helps the encrypted data will be the very fast. There are the two compiling arguments for encrypted your traffic when you are sending files from the targeted systems to the host station. And attackers, snipers cannot compromise the information you obtain, and encrypting the data nearly eliminates the risk of the contamination of the injection of the data. So these two are the majorly where follow the storing information obtained during the initial responses. And the next one is obtaining the volatile data. Obtaining the volatile data is the major part to gather the information from that particular victim system. Obtaining the volatile data will have two things. One is organizing and documenting your investigation, and collecting the volatile data. Collecting the volatile data will use a major role that collects the information from that particular system. So first one is the organizing and documenting your investigation. Now that you have a forensic toolkit and your methodology, you need to determine exactly which data to collect, At this point, you want to obtain the volatile data from the Windows systems, that is a Windows operating system, priorly to turning off of that system. At minimum, we have to collect the following volatile data priorly from the forensic duplication. So we have to collect the majorly we have to collect one of the primary things when you enter into that particular victim system. First one is the time stamping. That is what are the things he performed in that particular device and that particular media devices. You have to collect the system time and the date, a list of the users who are currently logged in, so how many people are logged in that particular system and how many things are done when they are logging. So each login will have that timestamp. That particular timestamp will give the what are the things they applied, what are the things they done in that particular login time in and the time out process, and the timestamps, time date stamps for the entire file system, a list of the currently running processes, a list of the currently opening stocks, the application listing on one open stock, a list of the systems that have current on the had recent connections to that particular system. So these are the things you have to check when you are entering into the particular victim systems. When you are organizing the documenting on your investigations, it's the one thing that you have to technical skills required to proper incident responses. It is quite another to the implement a complete unbiased professional processes. So you have to maintain some communication, you have to maintain some technical skills which is same related to that particular communication. So you need to have a methodology that is both organized and documented. There are the two main reasons to diligently documenting your actions when responding on the console of the particular victim system. So you have to gather the information with that particular victim system. First one is to gather the information that may become evidence against an individual to protect your own organization. So you have to gather the information with two reasons. One is evidence against as an individual or protect your organizations. So you have to follow the some MD5 sum of input commands to gather the information, and the next one is the collecting volatile data. To collect the volatile data, you have to executing a trusted command. That is you have to work in a trusted command platform. That command platform is a command prompt. That command prompt is a trusted one which cannot be no one cannot hack without the commands. So the trusted one is a command.exe. This is a command prompt. You can run any commands by using the command prompt, and then record the system time and date each and every command executed. When you are executing a single command, that is a date and time, so that command date and time is also stored by using the recording the system time and date, and then determining who is logged into the system when the remote access is users. So when any one person is logged into that particular devices, you have to record each and everything. So determining who is logged into the system and remote access users. And the next one is collect the information which recordings modifications will be done, and the creation and access times of all files will be stored in that particular devices. The next one is determining the open ports. Determining the open ports. To determine which ports are open, use netsat and a standard Windows command that enumerates all listening ports of all current connections to those ports. So netsat is useful of the recording volatile data such as the current connections and the connections that have terminated. You will notice the many local host connections in the particular devices. So after listing determining the open ports, list the applications associated with that particular open ports. What are the particular open ports are identified? Those identified open ports will be listed in the particular documented format. After listing all the documented ports, you have to identify how many running processes will be doing on the particular procedure. The running process, listing all the running process. Before you power off a targeted system, it is important to record all the processes currently running on that system. You cannot obtain this information if you simply unplug the power cord when your process is executed. So you have to, when your when your process is completed, you have to collect the information in the last tab, that is listing all the running processes. Before you switching off the system, before you turn off your system, the victim system, you have to gather the information what are the running processes will be done by the victim. And listing all current and recent connections. Recent connections means how many connected systems will be communicated with that particular victim device. You have to identify and you have to list those identified systems. And the recording of the system and time and date will be have to taken. Each and every document, each and every timestamp will be plays a major role when you have to identify that particular victims. The documenting the commands used during the initial process. So this is the last and final step when you are collecting the information from the victim step is what are the procedure and what are the steps you applied from the beginning to the ending part. That means the step 1 to the step ending of the particular process will have to noted and it have to be recorded for the further communication and the further investigation will be maintained. So this is the procedure and this is the steps we are following when you are doing with an initial and a volatile data collection from that particular devices by using the Windows system. When you are gathering the information, when you are collecting the volatile data collection from the Windows system, we have to following the 3 steps. One is creating a response toolkit, storing information obtained during the initial response, and obtaining the volatile data. By using the 3rd step, we are closing with an Windows connections. We have any different steps, different procedure with an Ubuntu or Windows Unix systems that will be discussed in the next class. Thank you.